The story of the Porsche brand is one of the greatest but also one of the darkest, one of invention, tragedy, and success. In order to understand this, we must look back to the beginning of the Porsche brand. In 1898, following his resignation, Ferdinand Porsche embarked on a new career in the automotive industry. Over the next few decades, he designed some of the fastest and most innovative vehicles for other automakers, establishing himself as one of the greatest engineers of all time. However, after starting his own auto business, Porsche's success led him down a darker path when Porsche became involved in military projects for the Nazi regime, which finally cost him his life. So grab a seat, because we're about to embark on an exciting adventure to learn the real story of Porsche and how they became one of the most renowned luxury automobile manufacturers in the world. In September 1875, Ferdinand Porsche was born in a tiny town in the Austria-Hungary Empire, which is now a part of the Czech Republic. At the time, the primary modes of transportation were carriages, railroads, and bicycles, and the first vehicles were only beginning to make their way across the world. Porsche learned the trade from his father, a blacksmith, growing up, but he never expressed a particular interest in the family business. Instead, he focused mostly on his education in the hopes of finding employment elsewhere. These were challenging times for Ferdinand as he reluctantly followed his father's footsteps into a job he never enjoyed doing. But there was something else he found fulfilling to explore in his spare time: electricity. Candles and gas lights were still widely used at the time, but by the late 19th century, electric light bulbs were gradually taking over as the standard. Porsche had an obsession with light bulbs and started playing about with electric circuits in his home's attic. His father, on the other hand, wasn't happy about his new pastime and often urged him to stop wasting his time on such foolish things. But after realizing how devoted and fascinated Ferdinand was about electricity, he made the decision to send his son to the Imperial Technical School of Reichenberg to further his engineering education. There, Porsche picked up the fundamentals quickly, and a few months into his studies, he was able to install electric light bulbs throughout the house and build his own electric generator. At this point, his father could no longer ignore his son's talent, so he gave in and allowed him to follow his own path. Little did they know that this new path would go on to help pioneer a brand new industry of automobiles. At the age of 18, Ferdinand left his family in 1893 to begin his first job at Bella Edgar & Company, a manufacturer of electric machinery in Vienna. There, he rose through the ranks fast to become the man in charge and was soon recognized for his abilities as a bright and skilled engineer. The company's first electric wheel hub motor was created by Edgar Ferdinand Porsche. It was designed to be mounted on any wheel of a vehicle and move it immediately. It was primarily used for bicycles at the time, but shortly after Ferdinand began working on other concepts for this motor, the first cars started to appear in the area. This caused a great deal of excitement among the locals as well as engineers who were trying to break into the new industry, Ferdinand included. After working for Bella Edgar for 5 years, he made the decision to leave the company and begin working for Jacob Lohner & Company, who had recently stopped making carriages in order to concentrate on creating self-powered vehicles. It was at this company that the 23-year-old Ferdinand used his electric motors to construct his very first automobile, the Porsche P1. The Porsche P1 was a fully electric vehicle with a wooden chassis that was designed for racing. Despite its impressive performance, the car could only reach a top speed of 21 miles per hour because of the heavy lead-acid batteries it was carrying. It's important to remember that at that time, automobiles were not yet considered means of transportation. Rather, they were primarily constructed for competition and tested for racing throughout Europe and America. Porsche kept refining the design of his car until 1900, when he included an internal combustion engine to power the electric motors, resulting in the first gasoline-powered electric hybrid automobile in history. Although Porsche's hybrid vehicle was a brilliant mechanical work of art and far ahead of its time, it also demonstrated why electric cars failed over the decades. The vehicle's short mile range and weight of almost 2 tons stopped the development of an electric car for nearly a century. The Lohner Porsche Electromobile would go on to win at various motorsports events while breaking several Austrian speed records. The Porsche and Lohner partnership came to an end a few years later, and shortly after that, the car manufacturer Austro-Daimler hired Porsche as their chief engineer. At the time, Daimler was the industry leader in the development of modern combustion engines, and it was here that Porsche designed his first automobile that was powered solely by gasoline, the Austro-Daimler Maya in 1908. His tenure at the company proved to be a significant turning point in his career, leading to his big break in the racing world when he developed his next vehicle, the Austro-Daimler Model 2780. This 85-horsepower vehicle was built specifically for the popular Prince Harry trial race in 1910, where it took a first, second, and third place finish. The young mechanic's success increased his popularity and supported his appointment as a professor at the company. However, when the First World War broke out in 1914, there was a huge rush to produce war supplies throughout Europe, and the manufacturer of Austro-Daimler supplied the Austro-Hungarian army with a significant amount of machinery. Porsche joined the group as well and gained notoriety for his innovative ideas for military aircraft. airship engines, and artillery vehicles like the M17 Goliath proving to be among the greatest engineers of his era. Following the end of the war in 1918, Ferdinand Porsche went back to building race cars, and by 1922, a new vehicle, the Austro-Daimler Sascha, had emerged from the factory floor. To the surprise of many, Porsche had tested this new car and it went on to win an incredible 43 out of 53 races, including the Target Florio. The following year, Ferdinand Porsche moved to Stuttgart, the German capital, and assumed the position of chief engineer and technical director for the Daimler division, which subsequently merged with Benz & C to become Daimler-Benz. After Adolf Hitler was appointed Germany's chancellor in 1933, he developed a special interest in cars. He gathered the top automotive engineers in the nation, including Porsche, and called a crucial meeting. As a result, in 1934, Porsche and his team started working on creating the Volkswagen Beetle, one of the most successful cars in human history. Due to its unique body shape, the Volkswagen Type 1 was a two-door car with an air-cooled engine in the back that required less maintenance and made steering easier to handle because of its weight balance. It also proved to be very fuel efficient, with an impressive 31.4 miles per gallon, even by today's standards. After the Beetle received 300,000 orders, it was the biggest success Porsche had ever had. He was now eager to see his creation put into production, but just as the Volkswagen factory was preparing to start mass-producing the vehicle, another significant event occurred that would send Porsche's once bright career down a darker path. Ferdinand Porsche paid a second visit to the Volkswagen factory in 1950 and expressed his satisfaction at seeing his idea for the Beetle finally come to fruition. Regrettably, he did not live long enough to witness the global spread of the Beetle and the Porsche brand, as he passed away at the age of 75 just a year later. After winning a race at the Le Mans in 1951, sales of the Porsche 356 surged quickly after his passing, and new versions like the 356 Speedster followed shortly after. Like his father, Alexander Porsche followed in the footsteps of his family from an early age and became actively involved in the automotive industry. However, he was more interested in design and saw himself as a skilled craftsman rather than an engineer. After receiving hands-on training from Porsche's body design department, he made the decision to contribute to the development of their new car generation, starting with the 911, one of the most iconic sports cars in modern history. Compared to the 356, the Porsche 911 had significantly greater power. A 6-cylinder boxer engine took the place of the previous model's 4-cylinder engine. Notable features included an air-cooled engine in the back, which helped the car balance its weight better and accelerate and turn better. In contrast to many other sports cars, the 911 was not only very fast but also very dependable. In fact, it is claimed that more than 70% of all 911s manufactured up to this point are still in operation. After being unveiled in September 1964, the new model quickly rose to the top of the company's sales charts in the following years. The Porsche company faced numerous difficulties in 1986 due to a significant decline in the dollar exchange rate and the overall cost of producing their high-quality cars. By 1991, sales had dropped to 23,000 units, which was half of what they had sold just 5 years earlier. The company's losses totaled 240 million Deutschmarks, and by the end of 1993, Porsche was barely making ends meet with sales of 14,000 units annually. Put simply, they were on the verge of disaster. The company had to act quickly to avoid bankruptcy, so they boldly announced that they were entering the SUV market in 1999, just as SUV sales in America were starting to overtake those of regular passenger cars for the first time. However, the project was met with strong opposition because Porsche has a reputation for producing high-end, luxury sports cars that are adept at both road and racetrack driving. In fact, the project was going to be the first Porsche car to have 4 doors. Despite the controversies, Porsche debuted the Cayman in 2002, and many were surprised to see that it went on to become not just their best-selling car but also a fan favorite. As one of the best luxury automobile manufacturers in the world, Porsche is currently owned by the Volkswagen Group. I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comment section. Until then, see you later.